Hello everyone, this is KASSIS talking to you from my studio, and I'm here today with Trackbacked to review one of the tracks from their giveaway. Trackbacked is an amazing platform used to help newcomers and new producers get reviews and get their songs backed basically by other producers like me. And today we have chosen a track by Weasel called Chapel in Ruins. This is a very atmospheric, very nice track. I really like the vocals and the composition on it. And with a little bit of tips and tricks, we can make this track ready for the dance floor. So join me in this journey. So here's the track, Chapel in Ruins, that I've been sent. 180 ppm, kind of fast, very atmospheric, has a really great vibe, and is missing some stuff for us to make it engaging, complete, and sounding right for the dance floor. We can start with the intro. The intro is actually nice. It's very mellow. It's very down low. It gets you into the vibe. And then when the kick hits, you can see how it's lacking in some ways, how we can fix it. So first, let's listen to the menu, the intro, I mean, and see what's gonna happen. Nice. Starts with a little bit of an arpeggio, and the vocals enter with the atmosphere. And it starts. To be honest, you cannot give so much info into how you can make it better because every person has their own taste. If you want to get into my opinion, I would be adding a little bit of a movement with some effects to a little bit when the vocals enter, for example, just to make it a little bit more interesting and more engaging for the listener. You can use multiple effects, reverb, delays, infiltrator type stuff, whatever you feel like. For this example, I'm just gonna use a plugin I really like called Endless Smile. It's basically just like a multiple layers of reverb and delay. You can do that with the normal reverb, hybrid reverb, and the delay of Ableton. You don't need extra plugins for that. This is just for showcasing purposes. It has a very nice UI, so I kind of enjoy that. But yeah, anyway, I would be like just adding a little bit into the transition just so you can make it a little bit more suspenseful, you know? So like, just reverbs and delays and EQs, nothing more. And it starts. Of course, you can add more elements, more stuff. By itself, it does the job, but you kind of want to like get really deep into it, you know? So in this sense, we can do it like this. And yeah, now let's start about the kick. The kick for me needs a lot of work. And we can see that on top. I'm using Minimeters, a very cheap, very nice program where it shows you the graphs, the stereo spatial space, the EQ, a lot of stuff. Also, I recommend Span. This is Span. Span is an amazing free plugin that shows you all the frequency spectrum in real time. It's very helpful for a lot of producers. So yeah, let's see how it looks. Now we can see that here in a lot of spaces, the sub is lacking, and it's lacking a lot. We wanna kind of put it up, you know? This kind of subs are not gonna hit the dance floor. We can see that also in the graph. Let me loop it here, for example. I've chosen this place. You can see that there's the punch, which is coming from these frequencies here. And then after that, is just lacking, you know? We can just EQ it to get it done. I've done these type of EQs, like let's say I've done this EQ where I've just boosted this sub frequency. And now we can get it more, but of course all of the other frequencies get down, so I've added multiple EQs after that, where I've lowered, then I've added them a little bit of a way. It's basically just adding and reducing, not more, not less. So in this sense, I've just added here a punch and a little bit of an attack on these frequencies because they were lacking. So we could get it a little bit more equal. Now, if you go back to span, we could see that it's getting a little bit there, but it's not enough, especially also here, because you're missing a lot of frequencies. You want the kick to be the building block of your track. If your kick is right, 70% of the stuff is right. You want to make it completely filling of all of the frequency spectrum that you want, because if you don't, then it's gonna be sounding thin, it's not gonna be putting in the mix. I've seen from the comments from you, Hazel, that you've asked how you can make like the kick more present and how you can make the other elements. Well, you gotta make the kick by itself working well. If the kick by itself is not working well, you're not gonna be able to make it right. So here's what we're gonna do. I suggest the following. Of course, now with these EQs that I've added, it's much better than nothing. Sounds more equal, more placed, da-da-da-da. I've basically just boosted the main frequency spectrum. I found it in span. You can definitely see it just in span. Here, if you open, here it is, C2. And in this way, you can boost it and then you can equalize them. But let's make it a little bit step better. Let's find a way to make this kick immediately go inside and just hit. I would recommend just adding more layers on top of it and removing this weak sub and changing it from a sample or from a kick that you made from another sub. And adding a little bit of more punch, because if we just like turn on the EQs again, we can see that the punch is lacking a lot. We want to still make it hit. This is all equal to taste, but ravers know when a kick hits them. So you want that to be like fulfilling. For this one, I've used some of my samples from my sample pack, coming very soon. In this sample pack, I've chosen 2 samples. That's it, just added 2 layers. One is a sub and one is a punch. So this is one of my kicks. If I remove the EQ and activate it, you could see a very squashed, heavy kick, right? You can see on the spectrum, it's like full. I like the sub of this one with this, so I just literally activated it by a sub like this. So you can just like remove the frequencies. Don't make it like on a very high octave. 612 is good. So you just want that consistent sub the whole time. And from here, I've added just one of my kicks and I've only taken the punch. This is the other kick. Let me remove the other stuff that I've added into it. So this is a pure kick. I like the punch out of the boom, boom, you know, these low, mid frequencies that this kick is lacking here. So I've just taken this and like just measured it in a way that gets it. So this is it. And I've also made it to not be sounding so dry, because now if I try it just to make it more groovy with the other one, I've just added an EQ first of all, just so I could remove these sub frequencies. And also I've added this delay chain, basically just added a delay here and Command and G it to put it in the group, and I made a new chain. So when you make a new chain, it's just the same dry sound put up, so you can equalize them. And just a little bit, like minus 20 decibels and minus 3 decibels, just so it can be grooving a little. So it sounds kind of full in this way when you add this type of delay. If you don't like this type of delay, you can change to the 2. Or if you don't want a delay, if you just want a punch, that's totally up to you. In this way, I found this rhythm to be also like on the horse galloping 3/4 delay that you can find it here, the 3/3/1 on the 4 beats. So you can see it like in here, it here. So I'm adding this type of thing also. And now here, of course, I'm gonna EQ them in this way, so I want it like more equalized. I'm talking about this kick here. And I've just added here just a low cut. This is like a more steep one, but using the linear phase in Pro Q, you can reach that. If you don't have Pro Q, you can definitely use the EQ8 of Ableton. It's still a very good EQ, and just lower them like not so hard. You can also use this cut. Don't use the X4. It's gonna like do some phasing issues. This way is just a little bit good, and just if you have Pro Q is amazing. And now, once I layer this kick with this kick, I'm having way more groove, sub attack, punch attack, and movement. Let me even put it a little bit louder. I can see here that now the kick is much more equal. Let's go back here, deactivate everything like this. Let me remove the EQ8. If I only put this was the kick before. You can see the lackness into it. You can see the problems into it. You can fix it with EQing, like bass harmonizers and maximizers and all of this type of stuff. But it's much easier for you just to layer it, remove these sub frequencies, and add something that just works. So in this way, when we have this and this, we can just get it to the full maximum potential. Of course, we need to EQ them and get them done for our sound so they can be equalized together. A complete kick. Here on the master chain, I've just added an EQ to equalize these punches and hats because they were lacking comparing. This will work different when you have like the stem of the kick, not like the track by itself, because then your equalization and your compression is going to be much better. But I'm working only with one track that's full, just as a showcasing purposes. So here, I've just added the compressor and a limiter, just so I can get these harsh peaks out. And now I can actually move to this kick. I've done this where I've just layered it on top with the drops and everywhere and there, just to showcase it in this way to make it more moving. Now, let's see how it works with the drop, and even if I add the endless smile movement, how it would be before and after. So before, without anything, let me just remove all of these EQs and the effect and stop the new kick. It was just like this. And now with the new EQs, with the effect and with the new kick, we can get a much better tension. Great success. This is all acquired to taste. Everyone has their own thing, but in this sense, the subwoofers in the club are gonna be thanking you, man. They're gonna be working the way that they're supposed to be. And yeah, this is it from the kick part. If you could get that right, now your track has so much more power, so much more potential. And yeah, I have multiple things also to continue about. Let's talk about the first drop and how everything moves until the first drop. So you have here from the 32nd bar until the 76th bar, basically, just a kind of loop where it's the atmos that you've chosen, the vocals that you've chosen, and these small hypnotic hi-hats, which I really like, by the way. However, it will get a little bit more monotonous in the short run because this is 1 minute, almost 1 minute of listening. And if you're just having this one loop on this 1 minute, the dancer on the dance floor is gonna be, not really going deep into it. You gotta grab his attention a little bit more. It's still just the same thing going. You're starting a little bit. Here you add a hi-hat, just a little bit louder, but it's still getting the same thing, And here also, which you get the idea. You're adding these multiple hats, you're adding these rolling 16 note hats, but at one moment you want to add a little bit more groove into it. This can be only just fixed by like one hi-hat on top. It can get the job done. Of course, you can get it as big or as complex and deep as you want, but we need to get the job done at least. So just basically also from my sample back, I've added these like small 1/4 note hi-hat loop, and just it makes so much difference, man. Just a little bit. It was like this. Let's start again with it. You can even just like add it by here, because by this time you're telling the listener with this kick roll that yes, something is good is coming. You can delete even these for more effect. And just if we add them here, we're already ready for some nice groove. You can remove them here. And now when you added these rolling new hats, it's giving more movement. Use this type of technique just to add a little bit more, because the hypnotic, cool, reverbed rolling hats are amazing to give an ambience, are amazing to give a sound spectrum. But at the end of the day, we want to have a complete running of the movement. So in this way, just a little bit like 1-2 hats on top that have like an accented note on the offbeat, just can get you a lot of groove. And yeah, basically like in this way we're giving more groove. And let's go to the first drop. Here we can see that the vibe gets really down. And then the vocals enter. So here you can just add a little bit of like SFX. You can add a little bit of impacts. You can add a little bit of like white noise going in and out. If I literally just add some white noise fall, just like this on top down, super easy, and like just EQ it, reverb it. Just like add these like low tones on top of it, add some reverb, basic stuff. It just adds a lot of movement. If I cut it here, take it, put it here, press R to reverse it, just add it like this. And now we can add just some more like movement, like let's say these vocals here. You start a little bit earlier with a lot of reverb and automation on the auto filter, so they open up and close down. Using the auto filter or the reverb can really get you a more space and dynamics for the listener to be like, okay, now I'm chilling a little because I want to enter the new phase of the track, which is with these vocals and these stuff. And when it continues, I can just give you the same like advice from here. You just add a little bit of movement into it. Let's open up Endless Smile and see. Because like before, let's go from here. You have this small window where you stop the hats, which is very nice for suspension. So you can definitely work on that with the effects. Up and up, getting the tension up. Gives yourself an impact. It gives you a place where you're like, okay, nice, we're going, we're starting. So this is a very nice way to showcase that we need a little bit of more suspense for the listener to get you into this whole thing. Like even before, like before the EQs and before the kicks, you could see that it's just moving stalely, like moving in a very low sense, and it's not allowing the drop to hit. So in this sense, you could definitely rework it just a little bit. The new kick and just a little bit of reverb and delay, and you're ready. Also, I don't know if you're a fan of kick rolls or kick movement, but these BBMs and this type of kick would be really cool if you just like double this a little, you know, like just a little bit of, you know, really gives good movement. This is up to you. This is all taste acquired, but this would definitely give it more movement, like how you did here with these breaks. These are very nice. You could add them in between just so you can get the kick more moving into some rhythmical sense. That's very nice. And yeah, the second drop is actually cool. This low ambient sound that you've added is a little bit too harsh. I would lower it a little. I can hear it just like how much it's like peaking. It's so easy, you could just like, you know, EQ it very easily. Here, you can see it. Just choose it and lower it down. Much better for the ear. Imagine this in a big sound system, in a club, and this very harsh, high frequency is hitting your ears. Everyone's gonna be just like closing their ears. You wanna keep it more sensible and more soft to the ears when it comes to these type of parts, because these are the soft sounds. Of course, yes, the punch, the kick, they gotta attack you, but these ones have to smooth you in, so when the kick hits, it really hits. Much better. Now let's see how the kick hits. Cool. Now let's talk about this drop by itself. Let me stop everything. You could feel how like these like filtered kicks that I can see, these ones are just not hitting. They're just like the same one, tick, 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 and then the bass enters. What about if you add an auto filter, like this type of thing, what I should, and like this is on the kick by itself, and let me add my kicks to showcase to you. So let me just add these, put them here, and let me add this auto filter to my kicks, just so you can play. And let's say we put it on the high pass, and with a little bit of resonance, we can automate it so it can be playing a little bit more. So here it is. I can just be adding it like this and lowering it little by little. So in this sense, they're gonna be added a little bit better, you know? In this very simple, fast sense, you're adding more tension. You're adding more place to the kick to enter, not just to be like the same note running and running, you know? But in this sense here, you can just also automate the on and off. Let's start it here and let it be off here and here, exactly on the line. You gotta be careful with this stuff. We're done. You can also be adding these type of kick rolls that I showed you. They're very fun. So they can be just playing. Also, something that I've added, another type of hi-hat here. This is a more widey type of hi-hat because I see that you're missing this. Because you have the rolling high notes, as I said, the rolling 16 notes. They're fun, they're nice, but we were missing this hat first here, this one. And we're missing another type, not the offbeat accented one, but a more widey one, this type. Also from my sample pack. This hat can definitely get you a little more groovy and more impact on the exact drop. So let's listen to the drop again here. Now let's listen to the drop with the EQs and everything that I've added. Let me remove this one because this one is just this that I showed you for the ambient one. New kick, and now the hats. Let's go. Without the hats. Now we can even add these old hats. I've added them here. Because the track just continues on and on. And the dancer is going to be looking for more groove when it comes to from the 144 bar to the 180th bar. That's a minute of the same grooves and loops happening. And the listener by himself is going to be like, okay, what's happening? I want more. So we got to give him a little bit more. And literally just a hat added will make the biggest difference. And here even you have a little bit more movement. You can add the rides on top and you have a complete groove. Without, it's just continuing. Here's a good time to keep it up. Clean now, you don't need the hats, it's nice. And we're getting to the end of the track. And yeah, in this sense, we can get the track really sounding powerful and ready and engaging to the listener. Because if you just keep on like working with things that are not powerful so much by themselves, you're not gonna reach an absolute maximum potential of the track. I just advise a little bit more movement. You have the sounds, you have the atmospheres, you have the main vocal melody, which is very nice. You have the movement, the bell sounds. This type of things really make the track a little bit unique, but you gotta add these small, I call them the spice on top, so you can really get it going. Like for example, here at the end, if you just like stop the hats for a little bit, like here, like just no hats. Like let's say I double this just for showcasing purposes. Oops, sorry, just like this. You can get a really good rhythmical sense to everyone working like this. And yeah, basically this is my feedback to you, man. I can see that you have an amazing idea in your head. You're a person who thinks how things work out together, which is very nice. Just these small elements and small stuff really help you. Of course, you got to start with the kick, and you got to also start with the mixing on top. You can see just by itself, if I remove everything, that if I open span, which I really recommend to everyone, you can see how a lot of stuff are missing. Here, a lot of hats are gone. A lot of stuff you cannot find. Let me only put the track by itself without the other stuff from my kick. See how like this bass low mids might sound very good for your headphones. If you don't have like very professional headphones, open air, open back, or made specifically for this, or like on small speakers, these frequencies really push and really get up, but the real subs happen under 60. So like here, your note was C2 for the sub, which is a little bit just on the brink of sub power. However, the one that I chose is A1, and it still gets into the key of the song, so it's not bad for you, and it really the subs really hit more. And you can see how just like the graph is full. There is no phasing issues there. So you can just swap them and be chill about everything. And yeah, basically just get your more equalized sounds, add a little bit more mids, add a little bit more highs into the whole thing, because you want it at the end to be more flat. You can see how there are a lot of inequalities. However, this would look much better if we just activate everything equal in a sense. We still have the very high subs, which is special for this genre. We want that tone, that grit inside. So like when you're in a club, you're like deep into it. But the other stuff, equalize them. In a mastering sense, of course, I can add an EQ to the whole thing and lower it in a bit to make it a little bit more equal, which would sound nice. But this is not so much of an issue when you're in a mixing stage. If you just get everything equalized in the mid and the high range, which is the hardest to get, especially the mid range, then mastering becomes so much easier. Until then, make sure that your elements work well together by making them strong on their own and having their own sense in the field. Once that is done, it's just a game of EQ, leveling, and a little bit of compression. Nothing more. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't over process it. Keep it nice, ordered, and powerful. And in this sense, you cannot go wrong. And basically, yeah, this is my review and my feedback for the track of Wazel, Cheap on Ruins. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Wazel, I really hope this has been helpful to you. I will be really happy to listen to your track after the feedback. And I wish you guys all the best. Thank you for watching. Thank you for enjoying me on this journey of fixing sound and making tracks better, because it's fun. This is why we do this. There's nothing more fun than getting into the brains of a producer, seeing how they're thinking, what their techniques are. No matter if they're just starting or they're like 20 years in the game, everyone has their own touch. It's a human touch that nothing can replace that. And it's so cool for me to be able to share my knowledge and my perspective on stuff to others and get them to a place where they want. Thank you guys for watching again, and I really hope to see you soon. If you guys would like more feedbacks, you can definitely hit me up on the trackbacked.com website, where you can find me as KASSIS, and I offer my services there for everyone. I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.